Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Eyitayo, Ogunmola.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm really struggling to maintain the type of energy that I've had, since morning. Some of us are already getting old, We can't catch up with the type of energies that you guys have. Gentlemen and ladies, put your hands together for yourself. Put your hands together for yourself. And, one of the things that excites me, was that when I was told that this event is going to be happening in Lafrograms, I told myself, oh my God, is this a sign? Because I finished from African Church Mother College. Listen. It's a better school than Lafro. Because when I was in school, when there's a football competition between this school and my school, if I attend that football competition, my mom will beat. Because in those days, when there's a football competition, this always ends in fights. Don't you think the world is a better place now? How dare you come to Lafro some 15 years ago? See how you are sitting down now comfortably. The boys are not outside waiting for you. Put your hands together. Lagos is better now. Nigeria is walking, Abi. Okay, today I know that I have to keep up with the energy, so I'm going to try my best. I want to leave you with 5 things, just 5 things. And I know I've got my other mentors, my bosses. Willie is here now. He will share more. Abi, he'll share more. But I'm only going to share 5 things with you that and sometimes, it's such a very crazy world today that it's difficult to say 5 steps to success. Because there are no steps again. It's like the new generation keeps breaking those words, those barriers. The MC said it the other time, that if someone tells you that success is slow, when I was growing up, they would tell me, take your time. If you take your time these days, you are in soup. Because overnight, one young girl will just carry a camera and put the camera, and before you know it, from 1,000 followers to 10,000 to 2,000 to 100,000, before you wake up, it's already like you are Sabi. I'm like, Mom, I got boy better now. Why didn't I? Let me give you the story of one of my mentees, Itudu. She worked with me. And this lady, very hardworking girl, very, very hardworking. So this girl told me, and I'm someone that if you work with me, I motivate you every time. So I would come to the office and I would pump them and I would tell them, I got the Chieftain Scholarship, you can also get yours. And this lady was just somewhere at the corner. In just 2-3 months, the lady came back to me and told me, I just got a scholarship to go to the US, funded. I'm like, if I had invested in that lady, probably I would have been collecting equity. Before I knew it, the lady had joined IBM. 24-year-old now, hence $120,000. 24-year-old. 24. When I was 24, if someone had told me I would ever see 120,000, how now? How do you see how is it going to happen? The world has really, really changed. So I'm not speaking from the place of privilege. I'm just speaking with all my humility. Whatever I'm going to share with you today, if it works, it works. There are better principles with the younger generation. Today, I would rather even sit down with a 23-year-old, teach me about life. Because chances that 23-year-old will be faster in success is higher than what I ever imagined. But I want to share with you 5 things that I really think that you could just, use in your journey. And maybe it's going to help you. If it helps you, all glory to God. Number 1 is this. Don't ever do whatever is easy. If it's easy, it's not sustainable. And I'll give you a very interesting example. You see, the company I run today makes me an average of 120 million per month. If someone had told me to do life again, I would never do it that same way again. You know why? Because it's easy. If it's easy, it means that you can quickly make a lot of money and be successful in it. But because it is easy, you cannot defend your territory. Let me tell you what I mean. I run one of the largest Wole is our influencer. If Wole is going to do a video for us, last time he collected 1 million naira. Just one video. For him to just appear and say, hello, go and learn tech from UTVAL, he will charge 1 million. This was last year. This year, if we would go to him again, he will probably say 3 million. But one of the major lessons I've learned is this. If you do easy things, if it is easy, if it's not costing you all your sleepless nights, if you see your friends easily doing it, there's no long-term success in it. You know why? Because it means that by the time you have done all the work and you're successful at it, other people will just wake up and begin to do the same thing, and you can no longer defend your what? Your territory. And that's what is happening to me right now in my life. I built the largest tech learning platform. Some 5 years ago, one of my mentors told me, Eyitayo, a lot of Nigerians will be learning tech at some point. So go build a company that can help people learn tech. So I built Utiva. We started with 1 million naira revenue. It moved from 1 million to 10 million. From 10 million, we started to get a lot of businesses doing it. Guess what? Every day, my staff resign and they go do the same thing. The same thing. And that's the beauty of life. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because if you're thinking right now that you want to start something, right? Think about it. If it is easy, you will make a lot of money, you'll be fast, right? But people are waiting for you in the future, they will replicate it. So one of the best ways to sustain a long-term success is to do whatever is what? Hard. Let me give you an example of whatever it was, something that is hard. At the time I was starting Utiva, one of my mentors and a friend was starting Flutterwave. Anybody here has heard of Flutterwave? Hard, because you have to get CBN license. Hard, because you have to collect people's money. Hard, because you have to have a lot of senior people. Now think about it, unlike training. Do you need a license for training? No, you don't. You can even buy accreditation. You don't need license. Do you need to have office in Abuja to do training? No. Do you have to report to CBN's office every day? No. Do you have to come to work every day? No. You don't have to do anything to do a training organization. All you have to do is just to pay Wole Adole and say, help me tell your influencers to come and learn. And immediately you pay Wole Adole, people come and learn, you give them certificates, you go. 5 years later, Flutterwave is worth over 120 billion. You can't even wake up overnight to say you want to build a Flutterwave. Because how are you going to do the license? How are you going to build the technology platform? So one of the lessons I have really learned is this. If you are building something or you're doing something that is easy, it's okay. But you have to start to change your mind and begin to think about what happens if a lot of people begin to do the same thing. You might become, now I'm not saying that you shouldn't do what is easy. I'm just saying have a mindset that the tougher it is, the last longing it's going to become. And so I'm changing my full step, and I'm changing it very late, at 36. That's when I'm now waking up to the reality that, I shouldn't have done this. Or maybe I give glory to God. I should have done this. But while I was doing that, I should have started thinking about something that is extremely very difficult. Now, not even if, you can't be here and not figure out something that is hard. Because you already have the unfair advantage. The unfair advantage is that for you to be in this room, you are 10 times better than the world. 10 times. And I know what I'm telling you. You know, when I got into this auditorium, one of the things I was telling my guy, they said, how did these people fill a room with young people? Because it's hard to do that now. They would rather be on Instagram Live with Wole Adole. They would rather be there. So for you to be here, it means that you already have the capacity to figure it out. The second thing I want to share with you, and I know that this sounds like a cliche, right, is this. The power of mentoring for a long time journey. Now, I know everybody here has a mentor, right? If you don't have a mentor, let me see your hand. Okay, so almost 99% of those in this room have mentors. Now, let me share one thing with you. One of the first mistakes you're going to make in your journey is abandoning your mentor because of your initial success. We've done it before. In 2015, I was a young guy. I'm 36 now, so you can do the subtraction. 2016, I was how long? 2015, I was how old? Anybody? Come on. 27. So 2015, I was driving roundabout that Ogba. Roundabout that Ogba, 2015. I was driving and I got an email. And the car I was driving then was a Mazda without a radio. I bought it for 250,000. I added 10,000 for the guy that brought it for me, so 260,000 altogether. And they didn't have radio, so, but I was driving, I was going to the island to pick my girlfriend. There was an HR manager that was working, because it was Friday, she was coming to stay with me, right? And I got an email. I've been accepted into one of the biggest fellowship programs in the US. And that means that you're traveling, fully funded, where you're going to live in the US, fully funded, everything fully funded. You know, who wouldn't be excited about that? I had a mentor who was in Nigeria, you know, who was running a company where I was volunteering. And this was a 27-year-old guy who had gotten an opportunity to what? Move to the United States. And I moved to the US, and when I got into the US, you know, big boy now, Yankee life. My mentor would send me a message, and I would ignore. I would see it, and I would say, and I would say things like, I want Nigerian mentality in here. I mean, I was in the US, United States, Washington, D.C. 2017, life happened to me. You see, 2017 is the toughest year of my life. You see, the pattern for growth is this. You start like, especially if you're talented, you start like this. And if God wants to, okay, I'm on the stage and I can't use fuck you up. I've already used it. Sorry. I didn't mean to use fuck you up. It's not my type of language. Because I'm a global leader, I can't use. So, but if God wants to, God set you up. Thank you, sir. I have a better, God will give you a spike in growth. So you go like this. That's God setting you up. In fact, all my life, I never pray for a spike again. A spike is very, very dangerous. 26-year-old, NLI fellow, Carrington fellow, Atlas Corps fellow, 26-year-old, I started getting all this fellowship program. You know, fast rising stars. In fact, there's never a day that my name never trends on LinkedIn. 26-year-old. You know, and then I made the biggest mistake of my life, abandoning the minds and the hands that nurtured me. I abandoned them. And then I started, you know, balling. In fact, church, which church now? Which pastor? What are you going to preach? You know, understand what I'm saying? You know, read the Bible 4 times, back to back. What are you going to preach? That is, remember that is God what? Setting you up. God wants to know. Are you going to fuck up? Oh, sorry. Are you going to mess up? Smarter people. Are you going to mess up? You know, for me, I messed up. I think about 4 of my mentors. Taufik Babayaju, for example. You know, we send the message, we just ignore. You know, Benga Ogunjimi will send you a message and just ignore. And it looked to me as though I was moving faster than them. You understand? I was moving faster than them. But nobody told me that what it means to be an elderly person, right, is the pressure of life that you have gone through so that you can incubate the next generation. But that was my biggest mess up. Now, that leads me to the 3rd point. And then when you now mess up, the biggest skill you're ever going to have in your life is to go back and say, I'm what? Don't ever in your life. You see, I am sorry. I don't know who created that stuff. I am sorry. You see, that phrase, I am sorry, will take you farther than your intelligence. So I called Taufik Babayaju, and then I said, I'm sorry. He said, then the first thing he said was that I knew you were going to get to this point. He said, I'm in Abuja. I just booked a flight for you now. Come over. You know, and then I come over. One of the things about greatness is that there would always be a room to incubate you. But the power to go back to that room of incubation is to say, I'm what? Sorry. You see, I don't know why I'm sorry is now such a very deep, phrase. you see, it's very dangerous. 2 days ago, I'll give you this. I am a UK global, and I'll tell you another thing. I'm a UK global talent, entrepreneur. And that means that if you get the UK global talent visa, you're given 5 years. You can extend it for whatever you like to live in the UK. So a lot of my friends in the tech space now come to me every time and they pay me £4,000 to help them also get what I got for free. So 2 days ago, one guy, Harrison, the guy has been sending me messages, and I'm very terrible on WhatsApp. Messages, this was a guy that paid me £4,000 to help him, right? So sending me messages on WhatsApp. I've not been responding to the message, and the guy just got very angry. He called me, and the guy was furious, over the call. And they were like, oh, why are you not picking my call? And then, arrogance. Harrison, do you know who I am? Have you Googled me? Have you checked me up on LinkedIn? Have you seen all the things I've achieved in my life? Why do you think I'm going to sit down on WhatsApp responding to a message? You know those online vendors, when you are finished paying, you know how they behave. That was how I was behaving. But thank God something was able to pinch me, and then the guy, and then I just quickly chipped in. I'm sorry, don't let us just, I'm sorry, I'm going to call my guys now, I'm going to get them to work on your application quickly. Today, and I will show one person evidence. Harrison has referred me to another person. As I was coming in, the guy was telling me, Eyitayo, I've paid 50% payment, £2,000. As I'm coming in, the same guy. You see, the power of just being, and see, if you're not humble, I don't care. But fake it. Shall I say I am what? Sorry. It has really opened a lot of doors for me. Another experience I had, I was flying from, I went to see one of my friends, I wasn't married, so I went to see one girl in Canada from the US. I lived in DC, so it was very easy for me to just enter Canada. So I made a very, very terrible mistake from Canada. I traveled to Nigeria. So I was trying to enter into the US back, and then the guy at the immigration port was asking me, was checking my documents, and then the guy said, why are you coming from Nigeria? You flew from Canada, why are you coming from Nigeria? And then, it got quite very intense. And I said, excuse me, I'm on a J1 visa. Do you know what a J1 visa is? That means I'm sponsored by the White House. That means I'm sponsored by the White House. And there was a woman standing behind me. The woman was quite very old. And then she had the conversation. So she called me, and then she signaled at me and said, I'm sorry, Nigerian. Just say, I'm sorry. And then I just saw the woman. So I felt embarrassed, right? So I said, I'm sorry that I didn't know. And the guy just left and then came back and said, oh, that's fine. You said you're sorry. He said, but you should never do this again because it's part of the policy you signed to, and your visa could be revoked. And I didn't know. How many of you read when you're signed? How many of you read now? Who reads here? I just got Atlas call. I will now be reading policy. I have to sign it before my village people. So I quickly signed it. You see, the power of just saying I'm sorry can build your destiny or mar your destiny. And these are the things that most people don't talk about. But from my experience, I'm sorry have built me way more than just the arrogance and the pride of the things that you've got. Now, another point I want to drop you with, and I think this is quite very, very important, especially for those who here, if you have very big aspiration, you have two options in life. Two options. The first option, and I hear a lot of people say, focus. That's the first option. So, for example, if you get a banking job, right, and you are a product manager at the bank, the first option you have is to what? Focus on your job. But unfortunately, focus is great. It's good to be very focused because it helps you to achieve, more. But the more you achieve is a short-term result. There's a lot of power in doing a lot of things and being a part of multiple things. You will never know how being a part of multiple things, you see, how being a part of multiple things will build you and help your perspective. Now, but that is a very, very dangerous path. Remember that the path to success is dangerous. So I've given you two options. The first option here is to focus, right? And do just one thing. And do that one thing, do it really well, do it really good, be big at it. The second option is to be a part of multiple things. You're doing this here, you're doing this here, you're doing this here, you're doing several things, right? Alternatively, that one sounds like you can be distracted, right? And then you'll be jack of all trade and master of none. But my recommendation is this: if you can, try as much as possible to be a part of as much as possible things in life that you can be a part of. If you can. And remember, I had mentioned a disclaimer at the beginning that whatever I'm teaching you is what I know. You see, very early in my life, several of my mentors told me, Eyitayo, get a job. Be focused. I see you volunteering here, volunteering there. Hey, this is not how to build life. I don't know who told me that was how to build life. I just realized that 10 years later in my life, every little thing I had done in the past now starts counting to all the things I need today. I'll give you two different interesting examples. Now, I just mentioned that I'm a UK Global Talent, and so I have the UK Global Talent visa. But if you're not in the US, it looks like you're nowhere, because everything rises and falls in the United States. UK, terrible life. My wife and children live there, but terrible life. So I'm applying for something that is called the EB1 visa. EB1 visa means immediately you are given, you have a green card. It's only given to the best of the best of the best, exceptional in your field, right? So I'm applying. It's the replica of what is in the UK. And the guy that is doing the petition for me is asking me, show me everything you've done in life. And the things that count. The things that count. Just speaking at this event. Where my friends are right now? They are building their businesses. They're like, Eyitayo, focus. Build your business. All this speaking around, just jumping around, speaking around. Now I have learned that a little there, a little here, a little here, a little there, volunteering, putting yourself out there, just being a part of different things. By the time you get to that point, all the little things you've done, every little thing, and I'm saying this to someone who is volunteering here, and your friend is telling you, right? I'm telling you, talking to someone that's probably an usher here today, and your friend is saying, what is all these things you are wasting your time on? Your friends are doing this, you are doing that. You see, just being a part of little things here, little things there, help you to gather a lot that would help you. Think about it as you're gathering the weapon that you need for a future battle. Now, you will never know that weapon, just volunteering here, you will never know that weapon will help you in the future. And that's the power of doing, a lot. Now, but remember, the disclaimer is this: you might be distracted. So you also need to apply some level of wisdom. You understand? Now, the last point I want to leave you with is this. The last point I want to leave you with is this. And I don't think I should even be telling this generation that, because of course it's a generation of trumpet. Learn to blow your trumpet. Just learn it. No one is ever going to do it for you. No one. One of the mistakes I made at the very early stage of my life was believing that somebody somewhere going to save me. Later did I realize that everyone is taking. Everyone is building their lives. No one is ever going to save you. There's a temptation of, even for us that we're trying to get into politics, because we are tired of our country, I was like, we need to save this country. You know, I'm now believing that, oh, if I connect to one honorable something, it will help me. No one is going to save you. You have to be very intentional about blowing your trumpets, because you actually don't know who is listening. You see, we're brought up to be very humble. So it took me 3 years after starting my business to acknowledge that I'm a CEO. You know, because I would look around me and say, where are the executives? I'm chief executive, so where are they? You know, if I'm going to do life again, one of the things I would never miss out on is blowing your trumpets. Every little thing you do, good or not too good, you have to be ready to blow your trumpet. Because your greatness, you see, gone are those days that someone is going to put you out there. Nobody is going to do that for you again. Because remember, in my own generation, I was competing against the Nestle, the Guinness, the big brands. But today you're competing with everything around you. So you must be ready to blow your trumpet, because you never know the trumpet you blow that will blow you. So you have to be excited about telling your story. You see, let me tell you this. You know, I told you about some of the things I'm applying for today, right? And part of the application is putting all your media mention. All your media mention. You see, nobody is going to put you in the news until you put yourself in the news. Your industry will not recognize you until you begin to blow your own trumpet. In fact, there is, for every industry, there's already a gatekeeper. There's already a gatekeeper that is saying, you know, what's he doing? You understand what I'm saying? Nobody is going to help you to blow. You have to consistently talk about the little things. Every little thing you do matter, and you should never discount it. In fact, anytime you are tempted to think that this thing is too small, that's where your greatness is. I'll give you a very interesting example. You know, some years ago, I think some 2-3 years ago, we were already doing about, 40 M in revenue per month. So we're already considerably big. You know, we had about 25 staff. And there was a competition for $500. So one of my guys, Adiola, told me, I saw this thing, let's go and pitch. And I was like, how do I stand on the stage pitching and competing for $500 now? Ow. This was in 2021. I was already an Alcyon Incubator Fellow. I was already doing, considerably well. But something pinched me and reminded me of the fact that every stage is a preparation for something bigger. So I pitched for $500. And the pitch was in Oxford. And one of the guests in the room, then, I won't mention her name because this is recorded, came on the stage. She was a minister, because she also came to Oxford to come and speak. So she came on the stage and she said, oh, please bring those that, I know if they don't stop me, I don't like to stop things. That's my biggest temptation. So one of the speakers said, oh, bring those guys that pitched. And then she brought all of us. They brought all of us on stage and said, tell me about what you're building. So I said, oh, I'm building, yada, yada, yada. He said, I want to be on your board. He said, because I like what you guys are doing. Fast track. This same woman took us to Andan Foundation in Dubai. In fact, the conference was already oversubscribed. And she said, I want Eyitayo to speak at that conference. Till today, the same woman advocates that I speak at everything. You see, you have to have the mindset of a hustler. And the mindset of a hustler is this: your trumpet has to be what? Blown. You have to talk about what you do, that people are so irritated thinking that you have pride. Until you get to that point of significance, you haven't started. You have to blow your trumpet so much that your friends feel that, you are overdoing. Because in reality, the light that is actually embedded in the inside of you cannot be what? Eden, you are so powerful that you cannot keep yourself muted. It's not possible. You can't keep mute. You have to constantly talk about what you do. Now listen to me. I'm going to round up here, because when they came, they said I had 2 minutes. How do you know that you have gotten to a point of equilibrium? Because let me tell you something. This is the way life is. Life is like this. You get to a point that I call the climax. When you get to that point, that is where significance actually starts. So usually, what happens is this: a little win here, a little win there, a little win here, a little win here, and then it looks like you're winning, right? But remember that you have not gotten to the point of what? Climax. And sometimes it looks like you're overdoing, right? But you haven't gotten to the point of what? Climax. You see, the point of climax is the point where everything starts looking bad. When it looks like you're losing money, when it looks like your friends are leaving you because it looks like you're overdoing, when it looks like your girlfriend is saying, are you the only one in the room? When it looks like my friends are telling me, Eyitayo, you shouldn't be speaking at every conference, you're overdoing, you should focus. That is the point of relevance. That's the point you identify that. It looks to me like God is about to do something. When people are putting mouth in your matter, like cider, like Tacha, at the point where people are putting mouth in your matter, it doesn't matter what you're doing. That point where people are talking about your matter, it might be your friend saying, it might be your mentor saying, it might be your family member saying, that is the point you know that you are getting to the point of what? Relevance. So what do you do at that point? You do more. You do what? You do more. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you so